The reason only a few succeed is not that they are more intelligent or more gifted, but that they dare to step into uncertainty. Most cling to the familiar, even if it is suffocating. The unknown terrifies them, and so they trade possibility for predictability. But the ones who rise above, the rare few, walk willingly into the fog, knowing that clarity is found only by moving forward, not by standing still. The few dare to live by vision, while the many cling to comfort. Vision is not merely an image in the mind, but a force that shapes how one walks through the world. It is a compass pointing beyond the limits of the present, beyond the ease of routine. To live by vision is to look past what is immediately available and to reach for what has not yet come into being. It is to listen to that quiet inner pull that says life could be more than repetition, more than safety, more than the small circle of what is already known. Comfort, on the other hand, lures like a gentle hand. It says, "Stay where you are, it is warm here, nothing will harm you." And so most people remain. They choose the path of least resistance, the one that does not unsettle their expectations or disturb their peace. Comfort may feel like security, but it is often the slow erosion of possibility. It keeps a person still while time continues its endless movement forward. It offers a soft bed, yet demands the sacrifice of growth. Those who live by vision are not free from fear. They feel uncertainty just as anyone else does, but they refuse to be ruled by it. They step forward even when the outcome is hidden. They act not because they are certain, but because they trust that walking will create the road. Living by vision demands courage, and courage is never the absence of trembling, but the decision to continue despite it. The many prefer what they can hold, what they can predict, what does not threaten the fragile sense of stability they have built. They would rather repeat yesterday than risk tomorrow. In doing so, they avoid pain, but they also avoid possibility. Comfort becomes a habit, and habits shape the years until suddenly a life has been lived without ever truly being tested. Visionaries, however, welcome the test. They see in difficulty not a barrier but a passage. Where others see risk, they see opportunity. They are willing to sacrifice immediate ease for a greater horizon. Vision gives meaning to their struggle, and in that meaning, they find strength to continue when most would stop. It is not that the few are chosen by fortune while the many are left behind. The difference lies in choice. Every person has moments where they can follow vision or retreat into comfort. Most retreat because comfort is seductive and vision is demanding. But those who dare to follow the demanding path discover a life that feels awake, alive, and unrepeatable. Comfort keeps you safe, but vision lets you live, and between safety and life, only the few have the courage to choose life. Success belongs to those who risk uncertainty, while most hide in the familiar. The human heart longs for growth, yet the mind often clings to safety. It is easier to remain in the circle of what is known, repeating patterns that provide predictability, than to step into the vast space of the unknown where outcomes cannot be guaranteed. Most people choose the comfort of repetition, the security of routine, because it shields them from the fear of failure. Yet in doing so, they also shield themselves from the very experiences that could lead to transformation. Those who succeed understand that certainty is an illusion. No matter how tightly one clings to the familiar, life itself is in constant motion. Change is inevitable, and to resist it is to suffer under the weight of time. The few who rise are those who embrace uncertainty, not as a threat, but as the natural condition of living. They step forward without knowing every detail of how the path will unfold, trusting that clarity will come only after the first step is taken. Success is never born from the comfortable, because comfort demands nothing. The familiar gives you the same results you have always had. It is only when you move into uncharted waters that you discover new strength, new insight, and new possibility. To risk uncertainty is to accept that failure may occur, but also to understand that failure is not an end, only a teacher. Those who succeed have fallen many times, but instead of retreating to safety, they use each fall as a stepping stone. The majority look at uncertainty and see danger. They see the possibility of embarrassment, the sting of rejection, the discomfort of being unprepared, and so they retreat into habits that require little of them. But in that retreat, they surrender their chance at greatness. They exchange growth for predictability, vitality for comfort, possibility for repetition. Life becomes smaller, not because it has to be, but because they chose the narrow boundaries of the familiar. The few who succeed see uncertainty differently. They know it is the only doorway to creation. The artist begins with a blank canvas, not knowing exactly what will emerge. The explorer sets out without a full map, discovering the way by walking it. The builder starts with an idea, fragile and uncertain, and brings it into reality through persistence. Each of these paths requires the courage to face the unknown without shrinking back. Success does not come to those who demand guarantees before they begin. It comes to those who step into uncertainty and allow it to shape them. They discover that the unknown is not an enemy but a field of possibility, vast and alive. While most hide in the familiar, they risk stepping into what others fear, and in that risk, they find the life others only dream about. Change is not a distant event, but a present decision. Every moment is the beginning of a different story. Too often, people wait for some grand occasion, a turning point written in bold letters, before they believe change is possible. They imagine that tomorrow will carry more power than today, that someday will arrive with perfect clarity and ideal conditions. But tomorrow never truly arrives, and someday is only a mirage. The truth is that life is rewritten in the choices we make now, in the small decisions that seem ordinary but hold within them the seeds of transformation. Every moment is alive with possibility. The present is not simply a bridge to the future, it is the only place where the future can be shaped. To change your life is not to wait for a better season, more resources, or the approval of others. It is to recognize that with each breath, a new beginning is offered. Whether one takes it or not is a matter of decision, not destiny. The idea of change as a distant event is comforting because it allows delay. It lets a person remain in familiar patterns while imagining that one day everything will shift on its own, but life does not bend to hesitation. The longer one waits, the more deeply habits take root and the harder it becomes to move. Still, even then, the possibility remains because each moment, no matter how late, still carries the power to turn in a new direction. Those who truly change understand this. They do not wait for signs or guarantees, they act. They take a single step, however small, and that step begins to rewrite their story. One choice to rise earlier, to speak honestly, to resist distraction, to embrace discipline. These are not minor actions. They are the first brushstrokes of a different picture, the quiet beginnings of a future that will look nothing like the past. Change does not ask for perfection, it asks for presence. It asks that you recognize the weight of now, the immediacy of this breath, this decision, this step. Great transformations are rarely the result of sudden, dramatic events. They are the accumulation of many small, present choices, repeated until they form a rhythm that reshapes who you are. To see change as distant is to place your life on hold, to live in a perpetual waiting room. To see change as present is to reclaim your power, to understand that no one moment is wasted unless you choose to waste it. Each instant carries within it the chance to begin again, to write a new line, to turn the page. Every moment is the beginning of a different story. Whether that story is one of stagnation or renewal is up to you. The power lies not in some far off day, but in the decision you make now, in the life you choose to live this very moment. To change your life is to change your rhythm. What you repeat daily becomes the architecture of your existence. Life is not sculpted by sudden bursts of effort, but by the patterns that flow through each day, the quiet repetitions that seem insignificant in the moment, yet accumulate into the shape of a lifetime. Every thought entertained, every habit embraced, every small action performed is a brick laid in the structure of who you are becoming. If the rhythm remains the same, the melody of life does not change. Transformation begins not in the grand declarations, but in the humble shifts of daily practice. Most people underestimate the weight of repetition. They believe change requires dramatic upheaval, a lightning strike of motivation, or a rare stroke of fortune. Yet the truth is far simpler and far more demanding. The life you live is built from what you do again and again. If your days are filled with distraction, your existence becomes fragmented. If your days are guided by intention, your existence grows in alignment with your vision. Rhythm is the silent architect, carving pathways into the mind and etching patterns into the soul. To change rhythm is to step out of the cycle that keeps you bound. The familiar beat of old habits feels safe, but it is often the very reason life remains stagnant. A person who waits for change while living the same routine waits in vain, for repetition is a law of becoming. The one who chooses to rise with discipline, to feed the mind with clarity, to act with purpose each day, begins to rewrite their rhythm. Slowly, almost invisibly, a new structure forms, and the architecture of their life shifts into something different, something higher. This rhythm is not only about action, but also about presence. What you give attention to daily grows stronger. What you neglect withers away. By repeating fear, you build a house of fear. By repeating courage, you build a house of strength. The rhythm you set is the foundation on which every part of your existence rests. It is the invisible current that carries you forward or keeps you circling the same waters. The beauty of rhythm is that it does not require perfection. It requires consistency. A single choice, when repeated, reshapes the whole. Reading a page each day becomes wisdom over years. Practicing a skill each morning becomes mastery in time. Small changes compounded in rhythm alter not just habits but identity. You become the very pattern you uphold. To change your life, therefore, is not to wait for a revolution, but to begin a new rhythm. It may be as gentle as rising earlier, as steady as speaking truth, as deliberate as moving the body, as quiet as a moment of reflection. These are not small acts when repeated. They are the architecture of existence, and when the rhythm changes, the song of life cannot remain the same. Transformation is less about becoming and more about uncovering you are not adding something new, but returning to what has always been possible within you. We are often taught to believe that growth is about acquiring, about piling on new traits, new skills, new identities, as though fulfillment is something external that must be hunted and brought back. But true change is not a matter of constructing a new self. It is the gentle work of peeling away the layers that have concealed what was already there. Beneath fear, beneath doubt, beneath the conditioning of years, lies a self that is whole, capable, and unbroken. Transformation is the process of meeting that self again. The struggle many face is the belief that they are incomplete. They look outward for answers, hoping that in some distant place or through some dramatic shift, they will finally find what is missing. But nothing essential is missing. What blocks their path is not absence but covering. Habits, expectations, and beliefs built over time act like dust upon a mirror. They obscure the reflection, but they do not alter what lies behind it. To transform is to clear away what no longer serves, to brush off the dust, and to see clearly again. This is why transformation often feels less like gaining something new and more like remembering. It is a return to a truth that was always present, though hidden beneath distractions. Think of a seed buried in the soil. The potential for growth is not something placed there later. It has always been within the seed. With the right conditions, it pushes through the earth and reveals itself, not by becoming something foreign, but by becoming what it was destined to be all along. So too with the human spirit. The mistake many make is chasing constant reinvention, as if by adding layer upon layer, they will finally reach wholeness, but in doing so, they move further away from themselves. True transformation asks for subtraction rather than addition. It asks you to let go of false identities, fears, and borrowed definitions. It invites you to strip away everything that was never truly yours. What remains is not empty, but authentic. This path requires courage, for uncovering is often more difficult than becoming. To become is to grasp at something shiny and new. To uncover is to face what lies beneath the masks you have worn. It is the willingness to see both the beauty and the rawness of your own nature without denial. Yet it is in this seeing that freedom begins. When you realize that transformation is uncovering, life shifts. You stop waiting for external additions to make you whole. You understand that the treasure is already within, waiting for your attention. Every step of growth is a step closer to simplicity, to authenticity, to alignment with what you already are. Transformation is not about becoming someone else. It is the profound return to yourself.